Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Who here has been coding since they were like, I don't know, like a child or a teenager? Yeah, quite a few of us, quite a few of us. Me as well. And how many of you have like had a career before you became a software engineer? Excellent, excellent. Yeah, a little bit less, but you're more than welcome to be here. It's not just people that have had no other passions in life that are welcome here, of course. Through the next presentation, we're going to look a bit about the history of software engineering. We're going to go from punch cards to AI-assisted development. It's going to be kind of some time travel, very brief flashes throughout history. It's going to be a lot of fun as well, I think. Our next speaker is someone very special, I think. He also had a career before he went into software development. He was actually a volleyball coach for 20 years. And We Are Developers is kind of like the first conference that picked him up last year, and he's been on a kind of like a back-to-back speaking tour for the last year, and now he's back, but he's on the main stage as well. So a kind of amazing journey. And what's even more amazing is in 2017, he was even too shy to attend a conference, and now he's up here on stage. So you're going to make him feel very, very welcome in a moment. He is the developer advocate for A Daily Dev. Please raise the roof for the amazing, the one and only, Francesco Cuglia.
Hi everyone, how are you? Nice. This is my first time on the main stage. And today we'll talk about a bit of history. We'll go from punched cards to AI-assisted development. And we will see how has it changed being a developer in the past 75 years. But before we start, who am I? I'm Francesco, developer advocate at Daily Dev. I'm very active on YouTube and X. And what's the goal today? The goal is first to appreciate the evolution of development. We'll try to be as fast as possible. It's kind of challenging, but we'll try. And we'll analyze what happened and how it has been this evolution also on the workflow. So not just programming languages, but also like in the how the code has been created and deployed. And the last is also that we try to take some conclusions about this to basically try to become better developers. So I think that we are ready to make a short time travel in this presentation. And if you don't get this reference, you are probably too young. OK, 1950, punch card era. So this was the dawn of the mainstream programming. We were programming in big rooms. Also, the first bug, it was a real bug in the computers. And there was not much power on the computers, and this is how it looked. I'm not that old, by the way. So the good old times. So data was input using these punch cards or punched cards. And there was these heavy rectangular pieces of paper, and the holes were representing data. John Backus, the creator of the Fortran programming language, used these punched cards to work at IBM. And this was a so complex and frustrating task that led him to create one of the first high-level programming languages, a real great innovation. So how was the life in this punch cards era? So developers were punching in these cards. The cards were read by a card reader. I think you can still buy a card reader. I didn't have time to buy one, but you can still. I don't know why. And coding was really not just about knowledge, but also a real meticulous and accurate and patient work. It really required a lot of patience. And the problem, it was that we didn't have the Command Z, the Control Z to revert, so kind of hard. But then in the 60s and 70s, there was the approach of high-level languages, revolution. And we went from what you see on the left, from what you see on the right. And you can see that the thing on the right, it's kind of similar, more or less, of what we do today. So we went from this machine language to something more human-friendly, more close to what we are. And two main languages that I would like to mention. One is Fortran, used more for the scientific and engineering calculations, and also the meme-famous COBOL. But COBOL has been a good programming language for his powerful, because it was powerful to manage large data banks. And also, I think it was the prehistory of DevOps, because it was versatile enough to be deployed on different hardware. And I see here a couple of hello words in the Fortran COBOL. The one on Fortran is kind of similar, we can understand. So some programming icons that really changed the way we thought about development. So one is Grace Hopper. She played a super important role in the development of the COBOL programming language. You can also read the COBOL on the paper here. And she really believed that programmers should code not in a machine language, but in English, so something more close to us. And also, John Bacchus was behind the development of the Fortran programming language, and Dennis Ritchie, creator of CB and the Unix operating system. Of course, they were not alone, but they are like icons for us that we like to look up to. And these visionaries really changed drastically all the programming landscape. So finally, the high-level language developer. Finally, we could do something similar to what we are doing today. Programming, it was easier, faster. We could make, finally, more errors. And this was really a liberation. And this opened up to being more creative and focus a bit less more on the technical stuff and focus more on creating something more innovative. Then in the 80s, the advent of the object-oriented programming, and this was a new approach for structuring code. And of course, at the core idea, we had these things called objects. Objects that they contain data and code with attributes and methods. And this was different from the previous conception of having a code just as a procedure, as just an algorithm, a list of steps. And maybe now this is for granted, but it was not back days. There are many OOP languages, but I want to mention just two fast, which were like C++ and Java, still widely used in programming, and it's very hard to overstate their impact on our field. Now, other two amazing OOP programming icons. I met Jarno Stroustrup last year, and he was still doing conferences, super committed, 24/7. So it was a really great meeting him, and also James Gosling, the creator of Java. So they really changed the way how we program, and also we intend programming nowadays. So, as I said, the OOP developer was more focused on thinking about objects to create, modify, and interact them. And for example, C++ is still used, for example, in the Unreal Engine. And also there are many other object-oriented programming languages like C#, for example. You can use this for Unity and also for .NET applications. And the code was finally more maintainable, flexible, and reusable. And now in the 90s, the WWW, or www, I will say this in Italian, and the rise of web and so web development. I think Tim Berners-Lee is here at the conference. So I don't know where is him, but I try to find him. And this opened up not just from a user perspective, because the internet changed our life, but also as a software developers really changed Our Life. This is the first website. And the thing is that the software could now be distributed globally in a way easier way. This empowered developers by 10 times. We were all 10x developers on this. So, because we didn't need physical shipment anymore. And so, being the web development has been really a revolution because this led to a whole ways, not just websites, but also web applications, web services, APIs. This is again the first website. It's also responsive, so amazing. And this connected not just systems and data, but also people. This is the reason of this JavaScript, 1995. This JavaScript is basically the king in the domain of the web. And this has been a game changer. We will see soon why. Because at the beginning, it was just a simple client-side scripting language. And then it really evolved every day, every year, we can say. And it's also the only language that runs natively in a web browser, at least the main ones. And JavaScript is not the best programming language, but what is important is the ecosystem that created, the ecosystem of the people around JavaScript and the community. And so we went from this beginning to now basically having a whole ecosystem and community of people who also help each other. Also worth mentioning NPM, Node Package Manager. Okay, if I wanted to fit all the JavaScript framework, I would need not one screen, but I think four screens with icons like that. So I just mentioned some of the main ones, which were the jQuery, Angular, React, and Vue. And this JavaScript so took a really central role in this because this enabled to build more complex and efficient apps. So this was really a game changer. JavaScript could also be started being used on the server side, on the back end, starting with Node.js, and now also there are other technologies like Dino, Bun, or Boon, and now also Next.js on the server side. And this started to, so after this, we started to have this figure of the full stack developer, so which is like the dream, like everyone wants to be a full stack developer maybe, because it's basically we can do many things, the whole application from scratch, you can say. Always Bet on JavaScript by Brendan Eich. Of course, he's biased because he's the creator of JavaScript. And so JavaScript really helped to have this whole set of web applications. It's a great source for web application, software, APIs, and of course, memes. I think that 50% of the market of JavaScript is because of the meme that raised his popularity. And what I really like about being a web developer is that you can choose the tools that you want to use. You can still do something, it's a bit hardcore, but you can still do something like this, and it will still work. So you can create this digital experience based on your needs and decide which tools you need for your project. For something super simple like this, but of course you can move on something to have more interactive, impactful, and for the users. What is this? So in 2001, 17 developers met at a ski resort in Utah. And of course, developers, they didn't went skiing, but they started talking about development, of course, because they were frustrated of the traditional waterfall development method, so they wanted to introduce something more dynamic. And so this is where the Agile Manifesto was born. It's still published. So the idea it was to switch from something more linear and long to something more flexible and quick. Also to adapt to all the fast changes in development. And this really set the stage for the practices that we even do today. Many maybe some of us, they don't even know about this, and they just apply these practices. And so the Agile was really a revolutionary approach for the customer collaboration and also this faster responding to change. And a key was delivering the software fast. And this was basically to improve the time. So we want something that could have been deployed faster, and not individual interaction. Okay. And the impact of Agile methodologies was the way we develop software was really changing, and they think it was about the collaboration also, because finally the developers could work in bigger teams, work in short sprints, and also always incorporating an existing feedback. So it was not more about just delivering software, it doesn't work, we don't know. We could have like a shorter approach and feedback. So the emphasis of the Agile methodologies was on delivering software that does work, or if it doesn't work, it's easy to fix, and also improving this iteration by iteration. I'm saying this because it seems amazing, because we can have better communication, better collaboration, quick delivery, but what's the regression? What was the cost of this? The cost it was that this required us to be more versatile. Now developers are doing something else, not just coding, not just programming, but also testing things, communicating with clients. So we started doing something else and not just coding 24/7. And the Agile developer, it basically, these rigid plans of having this rigid documentation started to become, don't want to say bad, but less important. So the coding was no more an activity that you do alone. So developers started to work in bigger teams, and this shift on mindset is what also we apply today. Now, 2009, the advent of DevOps. So Patrick Debois, frustrated. It's always about frustration, by the way. Someone who is frustrated, always they do always something. So he organized this conference named the DevOps Days in 2009. And this was the birth of the DevOps movement. So DevOps is basically the bridge between development and operations. So before, they worked separately. So there was also conflicts between the operational team, the developers. And the goal of DevOps is to foster a culture of where we can improve the quality of software and also accelerate. You see, it's always about time and time to do things faster and quicker. And so the impact of DevOps, it was that this wall between development and operation is started to crumble. And so we were also deploying and monitoring the application in a more holistic approach. And again, as for the Agile, we were demanding more broader skills set and proving immediate feedback. And that's a great sense of ownership. And there are now normal practices in DevOps, which are continuous integration, continuous delivery, infrastructure as a code, that there are on basically most of the project, not just the big ones. There's only one small issue, which is this one. So this is always intimidating. This is the CNCF Cloud Native Landscape in 2020. So I think if you see this, you just quit development DevOps, because this is intimidating, because there were so many tools that probably the best idea would be to just use the tools that we need. So let's just mention just one tool. This tool is Docker. And Docker is an open source platform used to automate apps. It was born in 2013, and it really helped in the deployment, scaling, and management of the application. Parenthesis, DockerCon is back in October 4th and 5th. I'll be there, so you can also meet there if you want. And so the DevOps developer was no more just about writing code, but also put this code in production. And also, so developers were also as a part of the production and performances of the code. And now, let's say now, some years ago, AI-assisted coding. So now we are using some AI tools. So we've worked through all these steps, and now I think that finally we are doing this like on a daily basis. It's not more like a sci-fi movie. I want to mention just one tool, GitHub Copilot. I don't know if some of you already tried it. It's trained on billions of lines of code, and this can really help. It's not just a code completion tool, but it can write whole applications from scratch. And of course, ChatGPT. This talk was created before ChatGPT, so this was also a good timing. Also, yesterday, I think that Stack Overflow announced their AI here at the We Are Developers, so very good timing. So this really is started to be in our day-to-day activities. And so the focus of the AI-assisted coding developer, it was more just it's about using the AI to let them do the heavy lifting. Let the AI do the heavy lifting, so we can focus more on the creative stuff. I think that this will not make us obsolete and old, otherwise we could finally relax, but it's to amplify our skills, our capabilities. And so we are at the end of our time travel. So in the last 75 years, the life of the developers really drastically changed. It's really important not just to adapt to change, but also try to shape these changes. Also, maybe in this room, there is someone who is frustrated enough to maybe invent the next level tool or programming language. So our whole understanding, the creativity, and also the ethical consideration is very important, will play a very important role in the future of development, and also, of course, on the rest of the people, of course. Some fast 4 takeaways with AI-generated pictures. That's amazing if you want to make a presentation. Lifelong learner. Developers have to be really lifelong learners. They have to learn and stay up to date every day. This is very, very important for developers. Developers must be flexible, not just as coding hours, of course, but also in the mindset, because as you can see, in a span of a single career, there will be so many important milestones. So you have to be really ready to adapt to what's next. And another consideration is that it's getting easier. So we are using more easy tools that makes our life easier, but it's harder because there are so many tools now that maybe just choosing the right tool might take a lot of time. Before there was no choice. I could just use this or that. The choice was between 2 or 3 things. Now the choice is between hundreds of tools, if not thousands of tools. And also another consideration is that we are really asked and required to have more and more skills. And this is really challenging because staying up to date while also having multiple skills is really, really hard. So we should try to go in this direction and try to balance the thing between being very good maybe at one thing when we can maybe get a job with, but also in the meanwhile focusing on having more and more skills, especially on the hot topics. So what stays constant in this whole history, we can say? What I think it's constant is the thrill and satisfaction of solving problems and creating value through coding. This has stayed the same since the beginning. And so, as a conclusion, so being a developer is not just about understanding a single tool, but it's about evolving every day, and it's about learning and adapting to every challenge that we will have in the future. Probably in the future, we will have more and more challenges with AI. And last quote is that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. I love this, by Alan Kay. And now, thank you so much. I want to make some special mentions. The first one is Docker, for making me a Docker captain, amazing group, amazing community. The We Are Developers Conference for inviting me 2 years in a row. This is the second time. And the last shout out is for Daily.dev, the company I currently work for as a developer advocate. It's an amazing tool that you can use. It's absolutely free, open source. It's a tool from developers to developers, so you might take a look. And the last thing is that I posted my first video on the internet 3 years ago. I don't know how, but I ended up on this stage. So I'm happy about this. Also good timing. And thank you so much. And now I would like to take a picture, if you want. Thank you.
Let's go for
Thank
it.
you. Ready? Oh. Thank you.
So we have some questions from the audience. If you still have questions, please feel free to send them in. Some people, Liam is like, what's next? Quantum computing, is it going to be a thing?
Okay,
What do you think?
I don't know. Okay, I think that quantum computing, I don't know, but at some point it will just explode.
Yeah.
So it might be, that's a good thing. I think it was some years ago, there was more rumors about quantum computing. I think it will have a comeback, but let's see. Let's see, and probably this is all recorded, so people can say, yeah, you were absolutely totally wrong. So it might be interesting to take a look at it. I think it will just explode like in a very short period of time when this will happen.
And your last quote, or one of the last quotes, is actually a beautiful segue to our next talk, which is a futurist who's going to be talking about extrapolating out and looking at how the future could be, and then working towards that. So it's like a beautiful ending. Thank you so much. Anything else? Anything that while you were going through this journey of researching, like how the history happened, any patterns that we can learn from it?
Yeah, I think the main pattern is the frustration. So frustration brings innovation. So when someone is so fed about something, say, okay, now it's time to create this. So this probably it can be in the future.
That strikes really close to home, because that's exactly how I started Record Once, because I was done doing 10 recordings before it was right. So I was like, make Record Once. Yeah, I love it. Anybody else done a whole bunch of stuff out of frustration? Done some innovation out of frustration? Yeah, some hands are up. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Keep on getting frustrated and solving those issues. I love it.
Perfect.
Another round of applause for Francesco. That was absolutely great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have stickers.
He has stickers. So, as I briefly mentioned, in about 10 minutes, we will be talking about the future and the futures that we can imagine and then work towards. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be quite interesting. And we're also going to be talking about the relationship between man and machine. And are we still in this future? Of course, if we decide what the future is going to be, then let's include us in it. See you then. Enjoy. Bye-bye.